Well, guys, we're in for a treat. We have two guys that are hitting 25 years at Barnhart about the same time, and they're brothers. What a great story. And Kevin and Roger, we want to just hear your story, let you tell folks kind of your last 25 years of experience. And then we also have the treat of Alex and Rachel and Kyle, sons and daughters of these two guys that have joined us. So anyway, let me start with you, Kevin. You're the first one to join this crew back almost 25 years ago.
Yes, sir.
What brought you to Barnhart?
Well, at the time, just looking for a better opportunity. It started out just as being a tire man. That was the position I hired in for. Never in my wildest dreams realized I'd be getting involved with a company that has the reputation that Barnhart has. And so it's just, it's been a great ride over the last 25 years. I've got involved in doing the tires and worked that for a couple years until Goldhofer came about. And then I was fortunate enough to be chosen to go to Germany with them to learn on the THP and be trained there at the factory in Germany. And got to go 3 times, and every time was great. Got to work 8 years with the Goldhofer trailers, and then when PEG was started in 2006, I was hired as the operations manager for PEG. When it grew into a branch, I was blessed to be the branch manager for PEG. And I think around 2018, I ended up trying to branch out and learn a little more, and went to Knoxville to become their maintenance manager. I got to be maintenance manager for them for a couple of years over all 3 of their divisions, the branch itself, the wind division, and also the trucking division that had just started. And then from there, it led me to Richland, Washington, where I was able to be the operations manager. Learned a lot there about the sales role and just how the day-to-day workings of how a branch operates. And then during this whole time, our kids are growing up and having kids of their own. And so when started having 7, 8, 9 grandkids, we figured it's time to come home. Wow. And so fortunate enough that Kerry Meadows hired me in the training department, and get to put everything that I learned together in one lump and try to pass it on, and try to be the best influence I can when people see us for the first time.
Love it. I love it. Now, I seem like I remember you started as a tire guy, but like day one, you were out doing something completely unrelated to tires.
Yeah, that was a pretty good sign of the things to come. JT Hill hadn't even filled out my paperwork yet. He handed me a little employee handbook and then came walking back in about 5 minutes later, and me and another fellow named Louie were sitting there, and he said, "Well, who knows how to run a chainsaw?" Well, I raised my hand and said, "I can run a chainsaw." He said, "Both of y'all come with me." And
come on, let's go.
we went out and spent the rest of the afternoon cutting tree limbs down in Martin Luther King Park so a dolly rig could come through there with a load from, at the time, I think it was Williams Refinery.
Wow.
And so, yeah, this has been a whirlwind ever since.
Late 90s, that was about the time we started buying Goldhofer trailers for the first time. And you jumped right into that and kind of became the guru of Goldhofer for a while. And you say you even spent some time in Germany. Talk about that a little bit.
That's, that was probably one of the best surprises, just being able to travel internationally. Never dreamed that, hiring in as a tire man, I could get to do that, let alone operate a Goldhofer, which when I first started, I thought 200 pounds was heavy. Nowadays, we lift millions and millions of pounds and move them, and with one guy with the controls at his fingertips. And so getting to be a part of that, and as you said, grow with the trailer division coming up is awesome to see where we're at now compared to where we were back then. I know one of the first things I got to do was me and James Metcalf, the first time I ever touched a Goldhofer, he had me back a 6-line up on a aircraft trailer, which is of course the one that tilts down and touches the ground. And trailer was 10 feet wide, the Goldhofer was 10 feet wide, and Mr. Metcalf was in the little mule truck. And he said, "Just don't run it off the side.
Don't mess it up, man. Don't foul it up." Oh man. Well, Roger, let's switch to you a little bit. You joined the company a month after your brother. I imagine that wasn't a coincidence.
No, sir. We worked together quite a bit before then. He called me and said, you ought to come over and check this out. And, just so happened to be that I was disgruntled with my last employer. He wasn't treating me right. So I came over and talked to JT, and he said, well, can you start Monday? And I said, well, I've always given 2 weeks notice. Let me give 2 weeks notice. So I did that, and it only worked out to be a week of time off because they got worse. And so I came over and started doing tires, and I think I was there maybe a week, and he came up to me and asked me if I had a Class B CDL. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I need you to run this valve from Williams Refinery down to Houma, Louisiana so it can get repaired. And at the time, I didn't know to carry clothes with me or, anything. And we were kind of poor at the time, so I had my lunch and $7 and took off.
Wow. Man, JT had a way of putting his arm around you and saying, here's the surprise, surprise. Oh my gosh, that is great. All right, so you were a tire guy, but then you also connected into the whole world of Goldhofer. And
yes, sir. It took me a little bit longer than him, I believe. It got slow tire-wise during December and January, so I didn't want to be sent home. So I went over and talked to Donald Turner. Said, you need any help in here turning wrenches? I can do it, So I spent some time over there in between tires, and then he brought me in full time over there, and I started on that. And then I'd say the following November is when JT come up and said, we got a guy laying down out in the field. I need you to go replace him. I told JT the whole reason why I took this job was to be home more often. But I said I'd talk to the wife and see what she said, and she agreed to be more time, money, and per diem and everything. So the next day I took off, and I think that was on a Wednesday, and drove all the way out to Goldsboro, North Carolina. Didn't know anybody on the crew. The only way I figured it was a Barnhart employee because they had Barnhart on their shirt, and met them down there at breakfast the next morning. We went out and worked a half day, and we were done setting the pieces for that at that time until the next set of rail cars come in. So we loaded up and come home.
half a day, that's a long trip for half a day. Gee whiz. So you worked in the field for several years then?
Yes, sir.
What were you primarily doing in the field?
I started out just as labor,
Okay.
and helped set up gantries, slide track, and stuff like that. But then I got back from I think I did 2 jobs out in the field like that, and then I guess JT wanted to make me a traveling mechanic for the Goldhofers. And Tim Fielder had other ideas. But I got pulled into the Goldhofers when I got back and was doing maintenance on them and things like that. And then we didn't have enough operators, so they sent me out to move a overhead crane down in Mobile off a barge, and that's where it started at. Been in it ever since.
Was that huge Goliath crane?
Yeah, it was like 40 or 50 feet wide.
Oh my gosh, the thing was
And
huge.
it was 12 lines, and there was, I'm thinking 35 feet hanging off one side and 15 off the other side, and 10 foot sitting on the Goldhofer, and had to take it like 55 miles.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Piece of cake, nothing to it. Oh man. Tell me what you see in Barnhart. Why have you stayed 25 years? Why is it a good place to work? What has attracted you to Barnhart?
It's really amazing that just the opportunity that they give you to be all that you can be, kind of like the Army, I guess. But just knowing that you can see the company growing, and so you knew that there would be places for you to grow as well. One of the biggest things that I've always admired was kind of the reason behind the company was the fact that, the profit's just not to grow the company, the profit's to help people. And so, even when you may not be the one out working in the field, you're still helping. And so being able to, fund ministries and things like that, I didn't know that coming in early on. I just knew that it was a job and I was going to get a paycheck. And but learning that over the years, and being able to be a part of that, got involved with the Grove team, and got to help along with Life Water there for a little while.
Talk a little bit more about that, because I remember you got involved not just like as a person that was trying to get to know them a little bit. You got involved personally in that. Talk about that some.
Well, when it started out, I was interested. I found out about the Grove by talking to Jim Yates and some other people that knew about it, and they directed me, to talk actually to you. I came to your office one day and sat down, and you told me about Life Water and how your heart was, into clean water and giving the ministry of Jesus to those in need, and so. I thought, well, that sounds like a good place to start. And so you said, throw yourself into it. And that's what I did. I got involved with Life Water and was able to connect with Pat Cleaver and some of the other administrative staff over there. And we were able to line up a training that they were having to repair hand pumps over in Ethiopia. And all this, as God's timing works out so well, it all happened to be taking place within the next month and a half. And so I went to San Luis Obispo, California for 10 days and met the folks at Life Water and learned how to repair hand pumps. And then seemed like no time at all. I think it wasn't any more than 3 months. The trip was scheduled to go to Ethiopia and actually, be, feet on the ground. Got to work with a couple of veterans from Life Water, Fred Proby and Rod, and go there and just put to practice what I was taught with Life Water. I was able to, get involved in the day-to-day lessons that Life Water taught during the day and amongst the villages and amongst the local staff that we were working with there in Ethiopia. And so we were able to, not just repair hand pumps. We were able to, express God's love to them through lessons that we taught, and then take it out and make it hands-on by working with the locals and getting their pumps repaired. It's one of the most significant life-changing experiences I've ever had, just to see how people live in countries like that have absolutely nothing. A lot of times I don't think I have a whole lot or have anything, and I can reflect back on that and see how blessed I really am. So it was a great experience, and
Man, so there's
recommend it to anybody.
There's people drinking fresh water because of what you did in Ethiopia.
Pretty amazing.
Those years ago. Isn't that pretty cool?
That is pretty amazing.
And to learn how to fix those pumps and teach others how to fix them, and that is special. Oh man, thanks for most of the ministries we get involved in, we just sort of help them financially. You went to work with them. Not just down the street, but in Ethiopia. Man, thanks for doing that. That was awesome.
Well, I mean, I have to thank Barnhart too, because it wasn't just a couple of days. We were in Ethiopia for 19 days.
Wow.
And so, I mean, y'all had an investment in it.
Yeah.
In y'all's time as well.
You didn't miss a paycheck during those 19 days.
I did not. I've been working 25 years, hadn't missed one yet.
I love it. I love it. Roger, what about you? What has caused you to want to be a Barnhart guy for 25 years?
Well, like he said, at first it was a change, and it was, when I was a young kid, I always wanted to run heavy equipment, building roads and things like that. So it was close, and some of the stuff I'd moved in my career there's been a few humongous things. So, but I started out, like I said, doing tires and all that, and through that I learned that if you're honest and you do good work, you can move up, and the sky was the limit. Just that your path is whatever you want to make it.
That is awesome. To stay in one place 25 years is a little unusual, but not so unusual here. But it's a treat that you guys have done that. So glad that you've done it. Not only have you stayed, but you brought some other people with you. Some of your kids now, 3 of your kids now work in the company. want to talk to them a little bit. I want to start with Alex. And Alex, you've been here about a year,
Almost, yes,
almost
sir.
a year. Tell us what you do. Tell the guys what you do here at Barnhart.
So when I came to Barnhart, I didn't really know exactly what I was looking to do or which route I wanted to go. But Justin Lundy was still the operations manager over there, and he kind of described the lift and transportation trainee position, and it's kind of like a 2-year program, and you just kind of get your feet wet and decide which route you want to go. And starting out, I just did little jobs with cranes here and there, and I've actually been on a $12 rig and a $24 rig and MLTs, gantries. I mean, it hit it wide open. It seems like, and it blows my mind just everything that Barnhart does, in order to move stuff and just how they operate.
So just 1 year, and you've gotten involved in some pretty heavy-duty stuff.
Yes, sir.
That's great.
Real quick. Yes, sir.
Now, how was it like to be a kid of a Barnhart employee? Did you get involved in some of the stuff as a kid growing up?
So he used to bring us to the yard and stuff like that, and I always, just all the big stuff, the cranes and everything on the yard blew my mind. But we actually went to California with him on that for the life water. And
Oh, did you? Okay, great.
which
Yeah.
was like our first trip, really. We got to go to SeaWorld and stuff like that, but so it was
Not
the
supposed
first
to tell 'em
vacation. But I mean, it was just cool seeing where Barnhart can take you and the opportunity, like they were talking about, just the chance to come up is endless. There's endless opportunities at Barnhart. So
All right. Well, you got 24 years to go before we can do one of these, okay? But
Yes,
I'm
sir.
so glad that you're here.
yes, sir.
Rachel, what about you? Even less time, just 10 months or so, 8, 9 months you've been here. What do you do here at Barnhart?
I'm the training administrator.
Training
So,
administrator.
yes.
Okay. So you work with your uncle like all
right
the
across the
time?
cubicle, yes.
Right across the. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And helping the training classes whenever he needs them.
All right. So what attracted you here? Why did you come to Barnhart?
I knew it was a family-oriented company. My
Okay.
kids are old enough and I was ready to go back to work.
Okay.
And I knew that if need be, because I've seen it with our family, if I need anything for my family, Barnhart would definitely support it.
That's great. How old are your kiddos?
Oh, Devin will be 11 on Wednesday and Dorian will be 13 in November.
Wow.
Yeah.
11 and 13.
Yes. Which I factored that this morning. Whenever Dad started, I was 11.
Is that right? That's awesome. That is great. All right. Well, super. So you've got 24 more years to go too. And then, Kyle, I have a question for you. What brought you to Barnhart? Why are you here?
At the time, I was barely making 20, 30 hours a week framing houses, had 2 kids under 2 years old, and I was looking for a full-time position, changing career, and looking for insurance benefits. I started in 2007 with PEG as an equipment coordinator, loading trucks, unloading trucks, scheduling loads, tracking equipment. I was transferred to the heavy lift crane group in 2008, and I started learning how to build crane loadouts, assemble cranes, order parts, and rebuild cranes here in the yard for testing and modification. I worked for Heavy Lift Crane Group from 2008 to 2012 when a position opened up with logistics with Lynn Wehrman, and that's who I'm still with now.
Well, great. So what's next for you guys? I mean, been here 25 years. Are you getting bored with this, or is this still exciting?
I'm excited to come to work every day. I work with a great group in the training department. I have to say, I mean, great people. So I'm open to whatever's next. I mean, I want to be truly used in the best place possible to benefit the company. I think right now, because of the experience I have operating all the equipment, the trailers and things, that I'm in the right spot. So
you're taking what you've known, what you've learned in the field, and now you're teaching young people how to do what you know how to do. And that's what's going to make us a success 25 years from now. So right now, you guys are mentoring others. Talk a little bit about mentors that you ran into along the way that helped you along in your journey at the company.
it's really neat to look back and see the different people who were involved in my career. One of the earliest ones was James Metcalf. He was the heavy haul manager when it first started, and so became good friends with Mr. James, and he taught us a lot, not just about gold hoppers, but life in general. When you work 8-10 hours a day with a guy, if you don't get to know him, then there's something wrong. And so he actually would pray with us and pour himself into us. And from there, Jim Yates was a very one of my probably first in-depth mentors. I mean, he would take me aside, and we talk about what direction I wanted to go, what steps I needed to do to get there. Always concerned about what's happening at home. Then JT, of course. I mean, JT has always been there. As you said, you feel that hand slip up around your shoulder. You got a friend there that can talk to you. He might want something and getting ready to send you somewhere, but he still cares about
Or he
you.
might want to drive around the yard with you and talk for a little while.
And then you got some real, you're going to learn something then.
Yeah.
That never happened to me.
It was a good thing it happened to me. It wasn't nothing bad.
It happened to me several times.
Yeah, mine always took place in his office. But other guys, I mean, Brant Durden, I worked with him for several years. Sean Sipe, Scott Fletcher, we were actually we'd get together and just became close friends, and actually we'd get together once a week and pray together and just do life together. Mostly inside Barnhart. I can't say we ever stepped out, but a lot of times trials come through different ways, and he was always there to talk to. And different branches, Bud Slayton, Jeff Bowen, out on the other side of the country, had Justin McCarthy for a little while. We came up together through the Gold Hoffer, but he was out there. And then now Kerry Meadows, same thing. He's more than just a boss. He's concerned about what's going on in my life, showing me how to interact, and he's helped me get involved in the Wild Spark program, which help develop future leaders. And so and even just sitting back and watching the monthly updates. Especially my family loves the Christmas update when it comes out, and you talk about Jesus every time. I mean, and Easter, the consistency is there. So I mean, even yourself, I mean, it's a role model as well. So.
Good. Roger, what about you? Anybody come to mind that was a...
Well, most of what he said, James Metcalf was the first one, and then, Donald Turner and JT, and Jim Yates, Sean Sipe, James Taylor. Who else was it? There's quite a few. Barney Barnhart, Dennis White, they all, Larry Spargo, that's an old one, but they all seem to want me to expand my career and pushed me and had good words of wisdom.
Well, it sounds like you received people mentoring you, helping develop you, and now you're doing it. You guys are doing the same thing for others, and it's going to be fun to 25 years from now hear your names coming up as people that have affected others. So, yeah, I bet it'll be helpful.
Right. Well, somebody's got to train the next generation.
Yes. And that next generation, some people think the next generation is kind of hopeless. What do you guys think?
There's a few select ones that's got good heads on their shoulders. And
in every generation.
Yeah. The farm kids, they know, country kids. They're a little bit better than city kids.
And when I was young, older people thought this generation, these guys, they're worthless. They're hippies and doing drugs and whatever. And I think every generation has great people in it, and we just got to bring them in. Tell me some challenges that you faced here, tough things that you overcame, or big projects. What comes to mind as big challenges?
First time I operated a PST with a live load, loading a barge with JT Hill on the Mississippi River. wasn't a what I would call a boat ramp.
Ah.
It was a place that we found, and it was awesome because I was standing on the edge, had the piece loaded on the PSD, taking it up the barge ramps, and JT Hill was behind me. I remember to this day, he was calm as could be. I'm inside, I'm going nuts, and I got Rick House, who was one of the guys on the crew, standing right behind me and patting me on the back saying, "You're all right, you're all right, we're right here with you." And it was one of the earliest, probably one of the earliest barge roll-ons we ever did as a company with a Goldhofer. And so, yeah, when it broke up over the top of the barge ramps and started weight going onto the barge, she got a little hairy, rocking side to side. It was having that as a first experience with one of those self-propelled trailers. It gave me an awe. So every time that I'd go out after that, always stayed a little tight. Just always seemed like every time it was having to overcome that, you got to push through and have confidence what you're going to do and the crew around you, and
Know what to do if something goes wrong.
Yeah. You get too comfortable, it can be, you could end up with a problem.
most definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Roger? What comes to mind?
The first time I ran the PST,
Yeah, same thing.
I think it was all on ground though, but we'd had it for 2 years and I'd been gone, and they sent a small crew up to Blyville to do the Dell transformer. It was me, Patrick Hendon, and Keith Hawks. There was only 3 on the job.
Okay.
And we had 15 lines of Goldhofer, PST, and it started out bad. Patrick was trying to jack up one side of the rail car or one side of the transformer to get it so we could start shimming it up and everything. And I said, I left you go at your own, but usually we jack up end to end to get it to come up. So he said, thank you, He said, I'm just nervous. I said, just relax. This is everyday stuff. And then I found out I had to haul it. What was it, 15, 16 miles?
Oh my goodness.
For Dell, Arkansas.
And we had to go down gravel roads. Well, I was nervous as a tick on a hound. And we were going down a gravel road for about 10 miles, and I got tunnel vision. Patrick was yelling at me on the radio, keep it on the road. He's telling me turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right. I actually had tunnel vision from the stress.
Wow.
And I rode the haul route like we're supposed to, and I knew I could hear the echo of the engine coming off the houses, but I'd look over there and all I'd see was gravel. So finally I just stopped and I said, Patrick, I got tunnel vision. And he said, oh, you're kidding me. You just don't want to make the haul. I said, no, I can't see my hand in front of my face.
Wow. Stress, huh?
Yeah. And so he come up there and they got me off the trailer. He said, I think Keith was running front escort, and he jumped on the trailer because he'd already been trained over at Goldhofer, and he took it rest away on the gravel, and he said, just sit in the truck with your eyes closed. I holler at you on the radio, open them up, we'll see what you can see. First time he hollered, it was still gravel. And then about 10 minutes later, he hollered back and he said, I could see again. So I jammed her down in gear and took off and caught up to him right when they was fixing to pull out on the pavement. So he stopped, I got it back out on it and took over again.
Wow.
And then the next job was Brownsville. And I knew nothing about the trailer, only how to operate it. And it was another 15-mile haul with a 500,000-pound transformer on it, another 10, 12, 15 miles, and doing great the whole way there. I was comfortable, but still, what's the word I'm looking for? Cautious. And there was a 90-degree turn right before you turned into the plant. Well, I went to throttle up and I'd hit the CNS button into off, which it's single wide or combination for the leveling joystick. Well, I turned the leveling joystick off, didn't know it. So I made that turn and I went to level and it wouldn't level. So I stopped right there and it was fresh pavement. we sat there for 3 or 4 hours, and Patrick came up and tried to figure out what it was, and then he said, "Let me see the remote." And sure enough, it was a CNS button. And I'll never forget, after he got packed up, Barnhart was there, and we had 100 feet to go before we got it in the plant. It was 115 out, and I started rolling. We was riding it at that time, and I started rolling, and that thing started jumping like all them tires. What was it, 90? It's over 96, 148 tires or something like that. They all had 3 inches of asphalt on them.
Oh, melted. Oh my goodness.
Peeled it asphalt right up, but I made it into the plant. So from then on, I put my nose in it and figured, studied a little bit and asked him, Justin McCarthy, and Patrick questions about it, and just started diving into it.
So no more tunnel vision since then, huh?
No more tunnel vision.
Wow, that's a lot of stress right there. First time.
Heaviest thing I'd ever hauled.
Yeah. Tell them what a PST is. Some people don't even know what that
Propelled
is.
self-transporter. It's got its own power pack. It's got at the time it had a 430 horsepower man engine in it. It had 3 pumps on the back, 2 for drives and 1 for leveling and steering, that ran the whole trailer. So
This trailer can just drive itself down the road with this power pack.
the operator was in control of everything.
Man, that is great. All right. Talk about company culture. What have you seen in company culture that you think is attractive, that is a good thing?
A lot of people that I talk to coming through the training center, what the company stands for, the profit with the purpose, is one that sticks out. And then the safety culture, having, talked to a lot of people coming through the training department, try not to be shy, talk to them, where are you coming from, what's your story? And a lot of times they're talking about the safety culture from where they come versus where they're coming into Barnhart, talking about, well, we don't do inspections, I've never had to wear a seatbelt, I never have to wear high visibility and, steel-toed boots. And so the safety culture is top-notch. I mean, it's something that we talk about on a regular basis. I think every branch and every division has a morning meeting before they go to work. And so it's number one for a reason, number one core value for a reason. So.
Along the same lines as he said, the fairness, the profit with a purpose, the safety. The safety is a big thing from where we first started out back in the day. It's grown a lot, but you'd be your brother's keeper. Keep an eye on your coworkers.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have seen big changes. 1999, you showed up, and we had then and had before then some really big accidents, big problems. Our safety record was not very good. How did that change over time?
Training.
Definitely.
And they used to be called JSAs or JHAs or something like that. The morning talks before we start work out in the field, toolbox talks. Even every day in the shops we have a JHA, and we talk about what we're going to do during the day, and they give some safety instructions. And like last week, I came back in town on Thursday. Well, actually flew home Tuesday, took Wednesday off, came in Thursday, and Mike Powers said, everybody keep an eye on Rogers. He's been gone for a week and a half or so. Let's make sure he's following the rules and everything. So it's a big deal. And everybody likes to go home at night and see their kids.
Yeah.
The communication's good too. Safety stand downs. I know we've only had a handful of those over the past years. But the communication when we have an issue, whether it's a near miss or an incident, the communication that we get it out to all the different branches. And so everyone is aware of the situation that caused the problem in an effort, so they won't repeat the same mistake. So I think that's one of the huge changes as well. So.
I know Dad mentioned before, whenever Dad first started here, we didn't have much, but I love that we have the benevolent fund because it's something I may not need it, but somebody might, and I love that fact. Everybody goes through their life struggles, and I know we had a good life. We didn't have much, but I feel like we had a great childhood. But I just love the fact that that's there to help somebody out.
When bad things happen, family steps
They
in,
do.
and we're a family.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Mm.
Well, in 2003, I was diagnosed with the detached retina in my left eye. Really didn't know much about what was going to happen, what was going to go on. It happened really quick, and so I had to basically, I went to the eye doctor, and the next day I was having surgery. And with that type of surgery, you have to lay still for weeks at a time. And I was working in the crane shop at that time, I believe. And I was able, Ronnie Threet was my manager, and as I said earlier, I never missed a paycheck, and so I was part of the short-term insurance. I was part of the long-term disability insurance, and hoped I'd never had to use them. But through the insurance and through the benevolent fund, to this day, I'm not sure who put me in for it, but I know the first week, neither of the insurance kicked in, and I still ended up getting a paycheck. Married, 3 kids, all of them under, 2003, so all of them under 8 years old. And Barnhart was there to take care of me through, help take care of me through that, and not only got us through that, but also had a job when I come back.
How long were you out?
I think all told, probably about 8 weeks. Yeah, maybe a little longer. I never thought I'd, keep a job, but there was even people from Barnhart that, brought food by the house, when it initially happened, just to make sure that we were being taken care of. So.
And then you had it again. You've dealt with that twice now. Yeah.
Yeah, in 2013, it happened to I lost vision in my left eye. 2013, it happened again in my right eye. This time they were able to correct it. And, I've got, decent vision in my right eye now, about 20/30. And so, same situation there. I was off for multiple weeks. I believe Brant Durden was my supervisor at that time. And I was a salary position this time instead of hourly, so it was a little bit different, but still the same to me. Barnhart was there through the whole thing. I don't know why, I never missed a paycheck. But, they constantly checked on me, and when I was able to come back to work, stepped right back into it.
2011, my wife had breast cancer. And when I'd started, I'd gotten a cancer policy, and I think it was 3 policies in one. I'd been paying for, since 98 to 2011. I have never used it. And I'm coming back from Hake, and I know she's going in for a breast exam, and I can't get her on the phone on the way home. I'm driving home from Hake, and it was a tough 3 hours till she called, and then it got tougher. And they found a small lump in her right breast, and so we had some decisions made, and she asked me, didn't you have a cancer policy?
You thought you canceled it.
Yeah, I thought it would, in changing insurances, I thought it might have got canceled. And I called Monday morning when I come into work. I called up to the office, and they said, we can't tell you what kind of policy it is, but here's a phone number that you can call, and they'll tell you what's going on. So I called it, and it was cancer policy, and they said, all right, Mr. Sherman, we'll take care of you, and we'll be in touch. So I left it at that, and then 2 weeks later, we got a check for $5,000. So we put that in a savings account, because I've heard horror stories about cancer and people losing their houses and everything. So we left it in the savings account, and then our insurance paid 80%. And then we sent the rest of the bill up to the cancer policy, and they took care of their part. And then whatever we owed, we'd pull out of that. But there's a few friends from work that would come by and check on my wife and everything. Mom and Dad would come in and sit with her on weeks. She had chemotherapy, and she worked the whole time through it. And women are tough, I can guarantee you that. But she's still putting up with me for 41 years.
41 years, goodness sake. Man, those hard times are when you really need a family, don't you?
Yeah, and God.
Yeah, and God, exactly. Thank you.
He pulled us through it.
Yeah. What about the Weekend to Remember? Do you want to speak to that at all, or?
But yeah, the Weekend to Remember, I went to it with my first wife. We went to it a couple times trying to figure out, how to, have the marriage and the relationship like God wanted us to have. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I did learn through all that how to be the man and how to be the husband if I were to get married again, which thank the Lord I was married to Samantha now, my second wife. And I was able to learn, what God wants from me as far as being a husband, what God wants me as far as being a friend and a co-parent. And so it was amazing that resource was there at the time when I needed it. Like I said, it ain't a cure-all because it wasn't my first marriage wasn't saved, but it has benefited me in my second marriage and with my relationships from then on.
So you guys lived though through your dad's traveling quite a bit. How was that for you?
He was always there for the important things. We made sure to keep him there for that.
Okay.
We knew he was hardworking. We got to do our sports. We got our cars. We got to work on the truck together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never went without, I don't feel like.
How about you, Alex? What would you?
Yeah, I mean, just knowing he was out there to provide, the best life that we could have, and he was always home for the important stuff and making the time count when he was home. So
Yeah.
There'd be some times he'd be going, 6 to 8 months at a time, but he also coached me baseball growing up, so he made a point to be at everything he could when he was in town.
I've met a lot of people who had certain jobs or worked for certain companies and have basically said, I wouldn't want my kids to do this. I don't want my kids to be a doctor, or I don't want whatever. Are you guys glad that your kids are here, and were you encouraging them to come, or did they come in spite of what you, how'd that dynamic go?
I told him he was all on his own.
I told her too.
I'm proud of him because it takes. He's always had a really good work ethic. Him, his brother, and his sister. Of course, my oldest daughter's got 5 kids at home, so she's got a 24/7 job. But they've always had a really good work ethic, and so seeing him grow up and mature and want to be responsible and he knew what he's getting into. He's seen it live and in person for 25 years, so. He knew the stresses and the going out of town and
Ups and downs, and
yeah, the emotional side of it too. So,
How big was the company in 1999? Go back to when you started.
6 branches.
five or six, yeah.
5 or 6
Yeah, I think we were
branches?
just starting Mobile branch.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Hey, like you said, handful of people. I remember the first Christmas party we went to was in the basement of the butcher shop, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was maybe 30, 35, 40 people. A lot of those were special guests.
Isn't it crazy? You guys are working for the Memphis branch then, and now there's a lot of branches bigger than the Memphis branch was back then. So things have changed a lot. So Alex, tell us a little bit about what you'd like to see over the next 5 years. What do you want to do at Barnhart?
I'd like to dip my hands in everything pretty much. I'd like to get my CCOs and be able to operate and, be able to operate Goldhoffers and know a little bit about them and just, kind of be able to do a little bit of everything. I don't want to be restricted to one thing, but,
The more you know, the better off you are.
Yeah, I was about to say, as you've heard from your dad and your uncle, there is plenty of opportunity to learn all kinds of different things.
yes, sir.
And that is awesome. Good stuff. And Rachel, the same for you. What would you like to see in the next 5 years?
I'm not real sure yet, but I think the training department's a good start.
Okay.
We help support all the branches, so getting to learn a little bit through the classes, a little bit through the branches, what they need. I'm not real sure yet.
So you're meeting folks from all over the country that are coming into the training department?
Yes.
I guess you're lining them up. You're
Yep.
signing
Getting them
up.
signed up and then helping admins where they need help with onboarding and everything. Yeah.
Wow. That's great. Well, thank you for what you do there. Kyle, you've been around a while. So what do you see in the next 5 years for Kyle?
I'd like to get into, I've always worked for a department at Barnhart. I'd like to move into operations at the branch level and then possibly take over a branch manager position one day.
What would you say to a young person that is considering joining Barnhart? Why would that be a good idea?
The opportunity, as we've each said, it's the sky's the limit. As long as you're going to get basically what you put into it is what you're going to get out. So if you throw yourself wholeheartedly into the company and buy into what we stand for, then you go a long ways. I mean, because the values lining up with leadership and the values lining up with the business practices and things of that nature, it's just the opportunities are out there. If you start as a tire man and want to become an operations manager or crane operator or even vice president, I firmly believe that that's attainable. I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. What about you, Roger? What would you say to the youngster?
The opportunities are all around you. Like he said, you get what you put into it out of it. And we've both done that throughout our careers. I think never in my wildest dreams, after graduating 8 out of 8 in my class in high school, that I'd be in the training Goldhoffers and, teaching other people how to run the trailers. And I enjoy coming to work every morning. It doesn't seem like a job. So there's certain days when you're run down and tired. You come in, it feels like work. But I'd say for the most part, most of it's what can we solve today?
What would you say to a young person that is considering joining Barnhart? Why would that be a good idea?
I would tell them, absolutely do it. The benefits of this company, the people of this company, it's been a great privilege to be a part of for the past 16 years. Even the 401k, as the interviews I've done, people have never heard of the 10% match-up, and that's always been a selling point to get anybody here. But the people, the equipment, the culture here, everything's been great.
Well, guys, it's been great to sit and talk. Thank you for 25 years each. And 2 brothers working, not side by side, but working at the same place for 25 years. And now in a role where you are helping others that are going to be here 25 years from now. Thank you so much. Alex and Kyle and Rachel, thank you guys for being here. It's just been a treat to get to know you. Thank you much.
Barnhart Crane and Rigging is a leading provider of heavy lifting and transport services for industrial and commercial projects in the United States. The company was founded in 1969 in Memphis, Tennessee, and has since expanded to over 50 branches throughout the country. They offer a wide range of cranes, rigging equipment, and custom specialized tools to handle a variety of tasks such as machinery installation, steel erection, and bridge construction. Barnhart is known for its commitment to safety, quality, and customer satisfaction, and has a reputation as a reliable and experienced provider of heavy lifting, wind power, and transport services. This podcast features employees who had and or currently have an impact on the culture of Barnhart. You will hear life stories and lessons from some of the best in the industry. To learn more about Barnhart Crane, go to our website, www.barnhartcrane.com.